Happy Monday. My name is Janelle Villiers. I am your host of the Janelle Villiers podcast. And if this is your first time here with the Janelle Villiers podcast, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. I like to shout out all of my newcomers. And if you are returning, if you've been here before, please go ahead and put a 2 in the comments. I love to shout out all of my returnees as well. So if this is your first time here, I am all about helping people write their books. I give tips for how to self-publish, how to write your book. And then I also interview authors of books, and we talk about their books and the messages that they're sharing, as well as what it was like, their process for writing the books. And then I also bring on people who haven't written books yet, but who have stories that are really, really worth sharing, who have information and how-to lessons that really need to be shared and spread, so that way we can all gain from that knowledge and wisdom as well. So I'm really excited today. Let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is something that I think right about now is a really good time to talk about it, actually. We're going to be talking about stopping debt and starting wealth. Let's talk about that. This is actually something that we don't always talk about on the show. And I'm really excited to really sit down and talk about this, especially right about now, around the holidays. We just had one of the biggest, at least in America, I don't know about other countries, but in America, we just had the biggest Black Friday in history. So people are spending money. I have questions around that. I wonder if people are using credit card, if they're putting themselves in debt in order to amass all of these things, which is something I guess we can talk about. But I recognize it is something on a lot of our minds. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to get out of debt. They want to move into wealth. They want to be able to leave a legacy, pass down something for their children, for their families. And I totally get that. Now, I am not the person who's going to be talking about this because I am not an expert in this area, but I am excited to bring someone on who is. So our guest this evening, as I pull up all of the things that need to get pulled up. Okay, so my guest this evening, he is a husband, he's a father, but one of the things that I love the most about him is his knowledge around finances, especially personal finances, and how he's really able to break it down in a way that is easy to understand. It's not intimidating. It doesn't make you feel like ashamed of yourself or where you are currently. He actually meets you where you are and can help you get to where you need to get to in a way that's easy to understand, and doesn't feel like it's above you or over your head. So everybody, please stand up, do all the things in your home. Give a round of applause for Andy Bennetts.
Myth that we need to bust, and the idea that debt is a normal thing. Debt is just part, and we need to be okay with that. An absolute lie, I think, from Satan, that we have just been lulled into this reality of like to do anything, right? I mean, it's gone so quickly from not having debt at all to now we can't buy our couch unless it's on a card. We've gone from debt being a negative, evil thing to now it is just a way of life. And I think we have been lulled into this false narrative that is just the way that we need to carry on.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, Andy. I am really, really excited to have you on the show. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure and honor, Janelle. This is so much fun. Get to switch roles a little bit. Had you on my podcast. Now we're switching this. But oh my gosh, I cannot wait. This is going to be a super fun conversation.
Agreed. So for those that are meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about how you became a financial expert, a wealth specialist.
You bet. Absolutely. So as is the case for most people, it's not a direct route. If someone would have told me this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it is, I would say probably not. But so the fast version is I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I got called into that, I think, at a very young age. Felt like it was a mission from God to be in education. So that was the direction I went. I spent about 10 years in schools. I live in Southwest Colorado and thought that's where I would be still to this day. Another little mission was kind of dropped in my life about 10 years in to switch gears over to education technology. And I'm still running an educational technology company. But along the way of that, leaving the classroom to do this on a broader scale, I really missed the heart-to-heart connection that I had with my students to make a lasting difference. So I've always been a numbers guy. Both my parents were accountants kind of growing up. So like numbers has always been something that it's always been very natural to me. And I've been a budgeter from the beginning of time. So this is something that I've always known, but I just within the last year or so found an avenue that I could use this passion for money and this kind of stuff and wanting to connect with people and show them a better way with their money, to give them some hope. I think there's a lot of folks right now that are feeling very, very hopeless and just reserved to the fact that they're going to live their entire life in debt. And I found out that that is not the case. And I am on a mission at this point to share that does not have to be your reality. There are faster, more efficient ways to get you out of debt to live the life that you want to live. So that's why I'm here.
I love that. And you're right. Nobody's story is straight.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that education is always been a part of something that has like really inspired you. And so now you're just finding a new way to educate people, but now in finances. So in that way, I'm curious, was there a moment, a person, a situation that maybe broke your heart enough that you decided to help people transform their financial lives or educate them about their financial lives?
I think there's been a number of moments. I will be honest with you. The first thing that got me into this was more of on the personal side of things, right? I mean, I'm the breadwinner for my family. I feel like that is a God calling on my heart, is that I need to provide for them to make sure that they have everything they need and some fun things, right? We want to be able to travel and do things, as a family, because my boys are on the older side, so we're kind of at the end of that stage, kind of entering another stage. So my initial draw to this was like, this could make a significant impact on my personal finances and what we can do and what we're able to do moving forward. That said, I was always drawn as well to the fact that this could make a significant difference in other people's lives, like the exact same principles that I'm using for my finances to get out of debt in half the amount of time, saving $150,000 in interest. I can apply that same principle and same concepts to other people that I either know and care and love about, or maybe just getting to know them initially. So the ability to do that is something that I'm very, very passionate about. That said, and I feel like I need to share this one because you asked it, was there a moment that just kind of made you, that just kind of really resonated? And just recently we went to, we were traveling to my son's basketball game last week. And I just had a conversation with a former student of mine, and won't go into all of the detail, but the timing and the specificity of me being able to talk to her and this becoming an option that will, one, help her financially, and two, like spending less, right? But also as a way to earn extra income. It has the possibility of making a significant impact on her and her kids in a situation that's not ideal. I don't want to go into any more detail than that, but it's kind of a dire situation. So the timing that this came into, the fact that we finally had this conversation, because we talked about it for a long time, I felt like that was very much a God-aligned thing, that we got to share this together and kind of set a course moving forward, that this can make a really impactful difference for her and her family.
I love that. Well, okay. I'm curious. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So if you have some questions for Andy, please put them in the comments. We will show Andy the questions. That way you can get answers in real time. Also, if you're watching the replay, please put your questions, because I will make sure to get them to Andy and you will get answers, whether you're watching live or the replay. But that being said, I'm curious about what you actually may have like helped her along, like how you can maybe even coached her. What do you feel like? What do you feel like some of the misconceptions maybe that people have about becoming debt free?
Oh my goodness, quite a few. Let's start with the first one, and it was actually part of the little intro thing right there. is we've accepted this narrative that debt is just a way of life. I ask people all the time, like, when are you going to be debt free? I get one of three answers. One, I don't know. Two, never. Or three, I'll probably die first.
Wow.
Like, that's depressing. That's horrible.
Wow.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that's the reality that we've come to in a pretty short amount of time. Credit is a fairly new concept, probably within the last 100 years.
Right.
It's become such a part of the American life because we don't want to wait. We want to buy stuff on credit and get things sooner than later. So we've very quickly got into this place where we are just drowning in debt. So one, debt does not have to be your way of life. And there are faster ways to get out of that don't involve bankruptcy or credit, loan consolidations. There's other ones that have pretty negative effects on your credit score. What we do, what I love, it's all math. And people are like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. How is that possible? It's just math. There's no magic to it. What I end up talking to people a lot is that the banks have a very specific way as to how they earn money. And this is something that I did not know before getting into this, but interest is the most profitable product on the planet. Think about that for a second. More than anything else, banks and credit cards are making their money on interest. Yes, they're investing it. Yes, they're doing other ways to do that. There's fees, all this kind of stuff, but they are making the most, by far, the bulk of their income from the interest they are charging other people. So they, being the banks and credit cards, are not going to tell you anything that is going to upset their system because their system works really, really well. And they are experts at separating you from your money by way of interest. So the reason we don't hear about this is because banks don't want us to know. So I'm kind of the modern day Robin Hood of like, let's take a little bit off of their billions of dollars and let's give that back to American families so they can make their dreams come true.
So let's get into some of that. How do you teach clients to build wealth while they're still paying off debt?
I think it all comes down to smarter ways. So let me just show you. And again, for those that are not watching, I'll try to put this in the middle to make this a little bit easier. I like visuals. I'm a kind of guy here. So I'm going to put this in the middle here where you can see both sides of it. So the idea is that when people go and sign their mortgage, most people do a 30-year mortgage just because that's what we can afford, right? We've been, again, fooled into this idea of like, we need to ask about payments, not the complete amount of what we're paying, right? So as soon as we start this 30-year path, the banks say, okay, this is great. Here is your schedule. Follow this long winding schedule here, right? This one, right? Long winding schedule right around here to get to this payoff date. Okay. What they don't tell you is that until about this point, about 23 years in, you are paying more in interest than you are on your principal. All of that is front loaded. So they're not telling you that there are faster ways to do this because, again, that would cut into their bottom line. So that's one of the first things that we talk about is that the way that the banks talk to you about interest is in their best interest, not pun intended, not yours, right? Not yours. So we need to kind of negate some of those misconceptions out there. There's a lot of people that just think if I've got a good rate, then there's no possible way to pay things off faster. Rate does not matter near as much as we want it to be because it's factored in different ways that, again, benefit the bank, not so much us as little people that are borrowing money from them.
Okay, so that's one thing to know about the interest. So how else do you help people to get out of debt while also building wealth?
So, I mean, think of it kind of like this. When we're at almost the beginning of the year, right? So what are everybody's top two New Year's resolutions, right? It's like usually lose weight or get my finances in a better spot, right? Losing weight is not a difficult thing. It's not a complex thing, better to say, for most cases, right? It's either you eat less and you exercise more. There's variations to that, but at the core of it, eat less, exercise more. That'll generally get you what you want to do. Spend for your finances, spend less, save more, right? That's kind of what it boils down to. Again, I understand there are intricacies in there. So the idea is how can we spend less on interest and save more and have more money accumulating for us? Another not misconception, but just things that people don't know is banks use all of the dollars that you put in their bank for their benefit from the get-go. They're not just, it's not just money sitting in a bank waiting for you to take it out. They put that to work for them. So why not learn from the banks and not have money just sitting in a cash in a checking account that's getting you 0%? Why not put it at least in a high yield savings account where we can somewhat keep up with interest? Because otherwise, honestly, our money is going negative as it sits there collecting dust.
So what do you think a healthy relationship with money looks like?
Oh man.
Sorry, and while he's thinking, if you have questions, don't let me take all the questions. If you have questions, please put them in the comments as well.
So there's so much in that question. I think so much of it is mindset. I think a lot of it is how you were raised with money, right? If you typically, right, if you had money, you don't really think of it as much, right? If you didn't have it, you think about it all the time, right? So there's all of those things. I was on a podcast earlier today, actually, and we were just talking about the idea that people with money in stories and in movies and this kind of stuff are often vilified. So I think there's this idea of, if you don't have money, people that do have money are kind of looked on as they're the big bad nasty that are just doing everything to against them, right? It's kind of an us versus them. It's a victim mentality. Not that we need to get into all of that, but there's a lot that goes into a healthy relationship with money, right? So those aside, understand, because again, we don't have enough time for all of those. I would say those aside, understand money is a tool, right? Money is a tool, and I think it does reflect the character of the person that it has, right? So if you have good intentions in your heart and you are smart with your money, when you have more money, you'll still have good intentions and want to do good things with your money. Opposite is also true. If you don't have money and you kind of hoard it, and I mean that it's kind of both extremes right there. I think money just amplifies your heart. I can be so bold to say.
You should be bold to say it. I think the other thing the other thing that people run with is like, oh well, money is the root of all evil, and I think that kind of bolsters the idea that people with money are evil, when that's actually
misquoted. That's a scripture, right?
I was gonna say, I was like, it is misquoted, right? It's the love of money is the root of, not that money itself is evil.
Exactly right. And again, that's why I kind of started with your heart posture, right? If you have a good heart and you are wanting to, like, and this is not meant to like put me up on any pedestal whatsoever, but like my family and I, we give to different charities, right? If and when God chooses to bless us with more money because we're working hard and we're helping a lot of people, that is going to increase as well, right? The impact that we can give back to other people, if you have a good heart posture towards that and understand that money is a tool, then that's going to be used for good, right? So it's really just a reflection on what your heart is towards money and how you see that.
That's really good. I love that. All right. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to keep going. I'm curious, do you have a particular client breakthrough that still kind of like gives you chills?
Absolutely. So this one's very recent in my memory. My sister and brother-in-law moved across the state, which for some people that happens all the time. They had lived very, very close to us in the same town for 20 years. So them moving across the state was a big punch in the gut and something we were very personally very sad about. They're on to bigger, better things. I'm sure I know that was a God calling for them to be there. So they're in a different spot, starting over, brand new 30-year mortgage, different loans and this kind of stuff. So because I'm passionate about this and because I know math works, we ran the numbers and we looked at what it would do for them. So we were able to, with this financial GPS, that's what we typically call it, as a financial GPS, we were able to cut their 30-year mortgage plus student loans plus some credit card debt from 30 years down to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So 2/3 of the time, saving over $200,000. I don't remember the exact amount of time. So another thing to just kind of maybe shift our mindset in, interest, let's call interest what it is bank profit. That's literally what it is, right? So when we are saying, oh, well, we have to pay this interest, understand that that's just Do you want to increase the bank profit, or do you want to minimize that a little bit to put that back in your coffers to do some good work? So $200,000 back in our pocket, now being paid off in 10 years. Now we can look at retirement for them. They can look at retirement and in a much different spot, because they're going to have that much money back in their coffers where they can do wonderful things with their family and grandkids and this kind of stuff. So it was a very, very much a personal win that I'm very proud about.
That is amazing. I'm curious, what did they say to you when they figured out that you had GPS this new way of doing things that they didn't probably even envision for themselves?
I think everybody goes through, because I'm a user of this system as well. I think everybody goes through like this whole range of emotions, right? I'm just being honest with you, right? The first emotion is like, probably most people come in very guarded. They're like, I don't know. This is not going to really, they're trying to sell me on something. They're this, right? I mean, so there's different heart postures and different things. And then they see it and they're like, oh, that's too good to be true. Right. I'm just like, this is the whole progression of like, okay, I don't really want to be here. Is this really too good to be true? And then when we start sharing, personal stories and just facts. I mean, this company has been in business for 20 years. 20 years. I got to write this one down because this is a emphasis point. $2.8 billion in interest that they've put back in their, I usually write much better than that, but $2.8 billion in interest back in their customers' pockets over 20 years. That's substantial.
Yeah.
That's substantial. So that is something, that's the type of company that I want to get behind, because they've proven themselves for years and years and years that this works. They are making a huge difference. And it's math. Again, they have a money back guarantee, which is another thing. So that's kind of when we're transitioning from, not believing to this whole thing, kind of the thing that generally sets people over the edge is just being like, if you follow this system, this is your actual debt-free date. So this is the day that you will have everything paid off, and we will give you your money back if you don't.
Wow.
It's kind of hard to argue it at that point.
So would you say what changes first is the numbers or the beliefs?
The beliefs are definitely the last thing. I mean, so the numbers are the numbers, right? The numbers are the numbers. And I try to, and the people that I ascribe to, like my coaches and this kind of stuff, we try to give very, very actual numbers, right? I mean, you can cook the books to make things look very good. That's not what I'm about. Like, let's use like actual dollars here of like, hey, this is your income. How much are you how much are you putting towards your managing your debt? Is it $100? Is it $500? Is it $1,000? Right. So obviously the more money you have discretionary, the faster you can pay that off. Let me give you the opposite end of the spectrum. Right. So my brother-in-law and sister, 30-year mortgage down to 10. The very next day, I talked to a gentleman that's on Social Security. He's about 5 years into his mortgage. We were able to pay off his mortgage in 10 years. 10 years.
Oh.
So half of the amount of time.
Wow.
On a different income, right? On a different income. So this is not something that you need to be, having $10,000 extra a month to put towards something. Like that's not reality. This works on lots of levels of income. As long as you are cash flow positive and want to be debt free, we can show you a way that can have that happen in a much shorter amount of time.
So, okay. So as we're taking this in for a landing, what do you think is the first step someone should take when they want to be debt free or get out of debt? And again, if you have a question, your question could be the last one of the evening. So please put your questions in the comments and let us know. And if you're getting value from what Andy's saying, put a V in the comments to let us know that you're getting value. So yeah, what's the first step someone should take if they want to get out of debt?
To take action. And again, I would love for that action to be with me for a conversation. And I think Janelle can kind of reiterate this from the time that we've spent together. I am not a pushy guy in the slightest. Like I am a teacher. I love to share information. I am the messenger, not the message. This is something that very much like you do with your personal testimony. Like, here is what I know to be true. You can accept that. You cannot. We can move forward. We cannot. But more than anything, because I do financial workshops as well, where we talk about debt, but we also talk about high yield savings and investments and this kind of stuff. Nothing changes if nothing changes. That sounds so like cliche and kind of silly, but I can't tell you how many times like I will pour my heart out and be like, Here are your numbers. We could save you $200,000 in 15 years. Do we want to move forward? Oh, I don't know about it. And I'm like, what do we need to do? Like, I don't, I don't know what more to, how much more I can share with them, right? The numbers are the numbers, but we have to commit to taking action and be okay with maybe stepping a little bit out of our comfort zone to believe in something that is better than what our current situation is. I think that's the first step.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, the hardest part of starting is starting.
Yes, exactly right.
All right. And so for a final question then, what do you want every person who's listening or watching to believe about their financial future?
You are in more control of your finances than you give yourself credit for. I mean, that's really what it is. You and I often liken finances to health, right? And weight control. This worked for a while, and then I actually disproved my own idea on this. So with your weight, okay, you cannot go from a great, healthy, physical fitness, what is that, physique, right? You can't go from like this rock solid whatever and then just to an overweight slob overnight. Like that just does not happen, right? It takes time for that, letting different decisions, not exercising, this kind of stuff. You can go from that to there, but there is a time frame that's going to take. I would love to say that the exact same the exact same thing is true for your finances. However, it's kind of not, and it's actually a little bit scary and a little bit worse on your finances, because you can go from zero debt to $500,000 in debt like that. You sign your name on that paper, you are now on the docket to pay off this $500,000. Or you're 18 years old and wanting to go to college. You can go from zero debt to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 debt in a matter of like 3 or 4 years, because we're investing in. I'm not saying to not do that. I'm just saying, like, let's be realistic. You can go from zero debt to a bunch of debt very, very quickly. We can shorten that time to pay you off, but understand there is no magic sauce that we can just put on top of this to go from bunch of debt to no debt. So commit to an action, stick to that action, and open your mind up to better options that maybe you haven't heard about, because again, banks don't want you to know this because it does not help their bottom dollar.
I think for me, that was one of my biggest reminders that I needed today. It's like, yeah, the banks they're not here for you.
No. I have lovely banker friends. Bankers are great. Banking system, not so much.
Right. The system in place. Yes. Correct. This was so good. Thank you so much, Andy. The time flew by. The amount of information that you gave was, invaluable. Again, if you got value from what Andy shared today, please put a V for value in the comments so that he knows. If you want to reach out to Andy and talk to him, he's a real person. He will respond. You can find him on social media. This is his Instagram. This is his Facebook. He has a website, as well as his email. For those of you that want immediate direct, get into his email. Also, if you are watching on LinkedIn and Facebook, you will find all of this information above this video. If you're watching on YouTube, all of this information is below. We'd love to hear from you. Andy, thank you again so much for taking the time to be here, for sharing as much wisdom as you have. This is really invaluable. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the platform, and I hope to talk to many of you very, very soon. Thanks, Janelle.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. So that is the end of today's episode. I look forward to seeing you next week, where we will be right here, same channel, same time. I'll see you then. Have a good night, everyone.